There's one rule you must remember when life collapses around you, when chaos strikes, when the weight feels unbearable. Just keep moving forward, not because it's easy, not because you know exactly where you're going, but because standing still in the face of suffering guarantees something worse: stagnation, resentment, and decay. Forward is the only honest and courageous direction left. To move forward is not some cheap motivational slogan. It is a discipline, a philosophy, and at times an act of defiance against despair itself. Life, whether we like it or not, confronts us with suffering real, inescapable, and often unfair. But embedded within that suffering is also the potential for meaning, for transformation, and for strength, if we are willing to bear it and keep going. We're not aiming at shallow happiness here. We're not promising that if you just move fast enough, the pain will disappear. No, this is deeper. This is about responsibility. It's about confronting your chaos head on and choosing, in full awareness of your limitations, to not give up the forward motion. However small, however painful, is the soul's declaration that life is worth engaging with even when it's brutally difficult. So what does it mean to just keep moving forward? It means you don't let your suffering paralyze you. It means you resist the temptation to retreat into bitterness or cynicism. It means you take ownership not only of your actions, but of your potential. It means you understand that progress isn't linear and that real strength is built through struggle. This is not a path of comfort. It's a path of purpose. And in what follows, we're going to examine 10 essential principles, 10 hard-won truths that show why forward motion is not only possible in the face of adversity, but necessary. Because to live meaningfully, to live courageously, is to just keep moving forward, no matter what. Moving forward requires direction. It's not enough to simply keep going. You need to know where you're headed. That's why setting clear goals is essential. Without a destination in mind, movement can become aimless, draining, and ultimately frustrating. Clear goals provide a compass that guides your actions, helps you prioritize, and fuels your motivation, especially during difficult times. But goal setting is often misunderstood. It's not about vague wishes or lofty dreams alone. It's about defining specific, actionable outcomes. The more precise your goals, the more tangible they become, and the easier it is to measure progress. For example, rather than saying, "I want to be successful," say, "I want to complete a project by the end of the month," or "I want to improve my physical fitness by walking 30 minutes a day." Specificity converts abstract desires into concrete plans. However, large goals can feel overwhelming, which leads many people to procrastinate or give up. That's why breaking goals down into smaller, manageable steps is crucial. Each small step acts as a milestone and a source of accomplishment, no matter how minor it seems. These incremental achievements build momentum and provide continuous feedback, which is vital for maintaining motivation. Think of this process like climbing a mountain. The peak may seem distant and daunting, but focusing on each step, placing one foot in front of the other, makes the climb achievable. You don't need to see the entire path at once. You just need to focus on the next step. This method reduces the paralysis that often comes with big challenges and helps prevent burnout by celebrating small wins. Breaking down goals also aligns with how our brain processes achievement and motivation. Completing tasks triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This chemical response reinforces behavior and motivates you to continue. By setting clear, small goals, you create a cycle of repeated successes that keep your brain engaged and eager to move forward. Moreover, clear and broken down goals improve your focus and decision making. When faced with distractions or setbacks, having a clear plan allows you to quickly reassess and adjust your approach without losing sight of the larger objective. It brings clarity to your choices and prevents you from drifting aimlessly or becoming overwhelmed by uncertainty. Goal setting is also about accountability and commitment. Writing down your goals or sharing them with someone else increases the likelihood you will follow through. The act of articulating your intentions strengthens your psychological investment. It transforms your goals from mere thoughts into promises you make to yourself, which fosters discipline. Another important aspect is flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and rigidly adhering to a fixed plan can be counterproductive. Breaking down goals into smaller steps allows you to adapt along the way. If one step proves too difficult or circumstances change, you can modify your plan while still progressing toward the overall goal. This adaptability is vital for sustaining forward movement despite obstacles. In essence, setting clear goals and breaking them down is about creating a practical roadmap for progress. It turns ambition into action and chaos into order. When you know exactly what you want and how to get there, moving forward becomes less about willpower alone and more about methodical, consistent effort. So when you find yourself stuck, overwhelmed, or discouraged, return to your goals. Revisit them with honesty and clarity. Break them down further if needed. Focus on the next small step rather than the entire journey. This approach makes the idea of just keep moving forward not just an ideal, but a practical strategy that anyone can implement. Life, by its very nature, is full of challenges. This is not a pessimistic view, but rather an honest acknowledgement of the human condition. No one escapes hardship, suffering, setbacks, or failure. The sooner we accept that difficulties are inevitable, the better equipped we are to face them without being overwhelmed or paralyzed by despair. Acceptance here doesn't mean passive resignation, but a clear-eyed recognition that hardship is part of the journey. When you accept that challenges will come, you remove the surprise and frustration that often accompanies difficulty. Instead of asking, why me? You shift to, what now? This shift in mindset is crucial. Life's problems don't disappear simply because you refuse to acknowledge them. Rather, denial delays your response and increases your suffering. Acceptance opens the door to action. Accepting life's hardships also changes your emotional experience of them. When you resist pain or misfortune, it often feels unbearable because it clashes with your expectation that life should be easy or fair. But when you expect struggle as part of life, you're more psychologically prepared to meet it with resilience. The suffering doesn't necessarily feel less intense, but it becomes less catastrophic. You start to see difficulties as natural obstacles on a path rather than insurmountable walls. This acceptance creates a foundation for moving forward because it shifts your relationship to adversity. Instead of being your enemy, hardship becomes a challenge to be understood and overcome. It demands effort, yes, but it also invites growth. Every difficult experience offers a lesson or an opportunity to develop strength, patience, or insight. Moreover, When you accept life's inevitability of challenges, you are less likely to waste energy on futile resistance. Energy is finite, and expending it on anger, bitterness, or avoidance weakens your capacity to act constructively. Acceptance conserves energy and directs it toward problem solving, adaptation, and gradual progress. This doesn't mean you should welcome pain or seek out suffering unnecessarily, but it means that when adversity comes, you don't collapse under the weight of surprise or denial. Instead, you face it head on, knowing that this is part of what it means to live a meaningful life. The acceptance of life's difficulties is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. Every new challenge is an opportunity to reaffirm this mindset. Each time you face disappointment, failure, or loss and choose to accept rather than resist, you build resilience and confidence. You prove to yourself that hardship is not the end of your story, but part of its unfolding. In this light, just keep moving forward is not an empty platitude. It's a strategic and deeply human response to the certainty of struggle. It means you acknowledge the difficulty, you do not deny it or pretend it doesn't exist, and you choose to act anyway. That action is the essence of progress. It may be small steps or large ones, but it is movement in the face of difficulty. To sum up, accepting life's inevitable challenges is the first step toward forward movement because it redefines your mindset from one of denial and resistance to one of readiness and resilience. It allows you to meet adversity with courage and use it as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. When you understand that hardship is part of life, you free yourself to engage with life fully and move forward with purpose, no matter what comes. The idea of moving forward in life often sounds inspiring, but inspiration alone isn't enough to sustain progress. What separates those who keep advancing despite obstacles from those who falter is discipline. The capacity to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the backbone of consistency, and without consistency, forward movement stalls. Discipline is not about harsh self-punishment or rigid control. It is about self-mastery and developing habits that support your goals and values. It's the ability to hold yourself accountable, to prioritize long-term growth over short-term comfort. This quality is cultivated through routines, structured patterns of behavior that create stability and reduce the mental energy spent on decision-making. When you cultivate a routine, you automate parts of your day so that progress becomes almost inevitable. For example, waking up at the same time daily, dedicating time for focused work or self-care, and scheduling regular breaks help build momentum. Routine removes the guesswork and reliance on fluctuating motivation, which can be unreliable and fleeting. Instead, you rely on habit. This discipline creates a framework within which you can operate even when external circumstances are chaotic or your emotional state is unstable. On days when you feel discouraged, tired, or overwhelmed, a well-established routine serves as an anchor. You might not feel inspired to move forward, but the routine nudges you forward anyway. Sometimes slowly, sometimes steadily, but always moving. Routine and discipline also build psychological resilience. The act of consistently showing up, doing the small things day after day, reinforces your sense of control and competence. Over time, this builds confidence and a positive feedback loop. You begin to trust yourself because you have proven that you can keep commitments and handle responsibility. Furthermore, discipline shapes your identity. Each time you act in alignment with your goals and values, you reinforce the kind of person you want to become. This identity reinforcement is powerful because it transforms abstract ideals into lived reality. You don't just want to be a disciplined person, you become one by practicing discipline daily. It's important to note that discipline doesn't mean perfection. The goal isn't to never fail or falter, but to develop the capacity to get back on track when you do. Life will inevitably disrupt your routines, illness, emergencies, emotional crises, but a strong foundation of discipline allows you to adapt and return to your forward path more quickly. Creating discipline also involves managing your environment, removing distractions and temptations that sabotage your routine makes it easier to maintain focus. Designing your space and schedule with intention increases your chances of success. This external structuring complements your internal effort, creating a supportive ecosystem for progress. Another element of cultivating discipline is setting realistic expectations. Ambition is vital, but setting overly ambitious goals can lead to burnout and discouragement. Discipline thrives on sustainable effort. It's better to consistently do a little than to do a lot sporadically. This sustainable pacing allows you to build stamina and avoid the vicious cycle of overexertion and collapse. In sum, discipline and routine are the engines that drive forward movement. They transform the abstract desire to progress into concrete, repeatable actions. When you cultivate these qualities, you create a reliable system for moving forward, even when motivation is absent or challenges loom large. So, the next time you feel stuck or overwhelmed, ask yourself, what routine can I put in place to keep me moving? How can I practice discipline today, even in a small way? These questions and the actions that follow embody the essence of just keep moving forward. A failure is often viewed as something to be feared, avoided, or even ashamed of. Society frequently teaches us that failure is a sign of inadequacy or defeat. But this mindset is not only unhelpful, it's misleading. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's an essential part of the path toward it. To truly keep moving forward, one must embrace failure as a vital learning tool, a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. When you view failure through this lens, you transform your relationship with setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as a dead end, you see it as feedback, information about what didn't work, what needs adjustment, and where growth is possible. Failure becomes a kind of teacher, often a harsher one than success, but one that ultimately helps you refine your approach. The people who achieve lasting success are not those who avoid failure, but those who are willing to fail, learn, and try again. They understand that every failure brings them closer to their goals by revealing weaknesses, blind spots, or errors that might otherwise remain hidden. This perspective turns the emotional sting of failure into something productive and valuable. It's important to note that embracing failure doesn't mean reckless risk taking without thought. Rather, it means a mindset where failure is not catastrophic or personal, but a natural and expected part of experimentation and growth. When you try something new or stretch beyond your comfort zone, failure is almost guaranteed at some point, and that's okay. It's evidence that you are pushing boundaries. Accepting failure as a learning tool also builds resilience. When you understand that failure is temporary and instructive, it becomes easier to recover and continue moving forward. This mindset reduces the fear of failure, which is often paralyzing. Fear of failure can lead to procrastination, avoidance, or giving up entirely. By reframing failure as an opportunity, you break free from this paralysis. Learning from failure requires honest self-reflection. After a setback, ask yourself what went wrong, what you could have done differently, and what lessons you can take forward. This requires humility and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about your actions or assumptions. But it also fosters growth, because it's through this process that you improve. Moreover, failure fosters creativity and innovation. When traditional methods fail, you are forced to explore alternatives, think outside the box, and innovate. Some of the greatest discoveries and achievements in history were born out of failure and repeated attempts to find a better way. Another important aspect is cultivating a supportive environment that normalizes failure. Surround yourself with people who understand that setbacks are part of progress and who encourage experimentation and learning. Such environments reduce shame and fear and promote risk-taking that is necessary for forward movement. In sum, embracing failure as a learning tool is a powerful mindset shift that turns obstacles into opportunities. It allows you to keep moving forward with courage and curiosity rather than fear and avoidance. Failure is not a verdict on your worth or potential. It is a necessary phase in the process of growth. So the next time you encounter failure, don't recoil or retreat. Instead, analyze it, learn from it, and use it as fuel for your next step forward. This is how you transform failure from a stopping point into a launching pad, embodying the true spirit of just keep moving forward. Moving forward is not something that happens in isolation. Human beings are social creatures wired for connection and cooperation. When life becomes difficult, the burden feels heavier if carried alone. That's why building a support system is essential to sustaining momentum and resilience through challenges. A support system consists of people who offer encouragement, guidance, accountability, and sometimes practical help. These can be family members, close friends, mentors, colleagues, or even communities you belong to. The value of having such a network cannot be overstated. It provides emotional sustenance when you're vulnerable, perspective when you're confused, and motivation when you feel like giving up. When you surround yourself with supportive individuals, you're less likely to succumb to isolation and despair. The feeling of being understood and cared for creates a psychological safety net. It reminds you that you are not alone in your struggle and that others believe in your capacity to overcome difficulties. This belief, when internalized, can become a powerful source of strength. Support systems also offer accountability. When you share your goals and challenges with others, you create external commitments that reinforce your own dedication. Knowing that someone else is aware of your journey increases the likelihood that you will stay on course. Accountability partners can gently push you forward on days when your own motivation wanes. Moreover, a support system can provide practical assistance. Sometimes moving forward requires resources beyond emotional support. Advice, mentorship, or tangible aid. Having access to people with experience or knowledge can help you navigate obstacles more effectively and avoid common pitfalls. It's important to cultivate diverse kinds of support. Emotional support helps you process feelings and maintain hope. Informational support gives you knowledge and skills. Instrumental support offers concrete help. A well-rounded support system balances these types so you can meet different needs as they arise. Building a support system requires effort and vulnerability. It means reaching out, asking for help, and being willing to share your struggles honestly. This can feel uncomfortable because it exposes your weaknesses and fears. Yet, this vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. It fosters trust and deeper connections. Not all support systems are healthy. It's crucial to surround yourself with people who genuinely want to see you grow and who provide constructive feedback rather than enabling stagnation or negativity. Sometimes distancing yourself from toxic relationships is necessary to create space for growth. In today's world, support systems aren't limited to face-to-face interactions. Online communities, support groups, and professional networks offer opportunities to connect with others who share your challenges or goals. These virtual supports can be invaluable, especially when physical proximity is limited. Ultimately, building a support system creates a foundation upon which you can stand when life's storms hit. It cushions the blows, amplifies your victories, and provides encouragement to keep moving forward. It reminds you that progress is not a solitary endeavor, but a collective journey. So, as you strive to keep moving forward, remember to cultivate relationships that nourish and challenge you. Lean on others when needed, and be willing to offer support in return. In this reciprocal network of care, you find strength to face life's challenges with renewed courage and purpose. When faced with the enormity of life's challenges, the journey forward can seem overwhelming. It's easy to fixate on how far you still have to go, on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. This perspective can lead to discouragement and a sense of paralysis. That's why focusing on small wins and progress is crucial for sustaining movement and motivation. Small wins are the everyday victories that might seem insignificant in isolation, but collectively build momentum. These can be as simple as completing a task you've been putting off, making a healthy choice, or even changing a thought pattern. Each small win creates a ripple effect, reinforcing your belief in your ability to improve and progress. Psychologically, small wins trigger the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine that fuels motivation and satisfaction. This neurochemical feedback loop encourages you to keep going. When you acknowledge and celebrate these small wins, you're training your brain to value progress, which makes it easier to stay committed even when larger goals feel distant. It's also important to redefine your idea of success to include incremental progress. Waiting for monumental achievements before feeling a sense of accomplishment is unrealistic and harmful. Instead, recognize that growth is often slow and nonlinear. Success is a series of small steps forward, not a sudden leap. Focusing on progress rather than perfection reduces the pressure and fear of failure. When you accept that imperfect, incremental effort is still valuable, you free yourself from the paralysis of trying to do everything perfectly. This mindset encourages experimentation and resilience, making it easier to bounce back from setbacks. Tracking your progress is a practical tool to help you focus on small wins. Whether through journaling, habit trackers, or simple checklists, documenting what you've achieved keeps your attention on what's working. This reflection also allows you to identify patterns, adjust your strategies, and maintain a sense of direction. Celebrating small wins cultivates gratitude and positivity. It shifts your focus from what's lacking or difficult to what you've accomplished. This positive outlook is vital for emotional well-being and encourages a proactive approach to challenges. Moreover, small wins build confidence. Each victory, no matter how small, proves that you can overcome obstacles and that your efforts matter. Over time, these accumulated wins reshape your self-image, empowering you to take on bigger challenges. In essence, focusing on small wins is about honoring the process rather than fixating solely on the outcome. It's about acknowledging that meaningful change happens step by step, moment by moment. This approach transforms the daunting path ahead into manageable segments and makes the idea of just keep moving forward achievable. So when the road feels long and the destination distant, remind yourself to look for the small victories. Celebrate them. Use them as fuel to continue, because progress, no matter how small, is progress nonetheless, and it is the heartbeat of perseverance. The way you think about yourself and your circumstances profoundly shapes your ability to keep moving forward. A positive mindset is not about naive optimism or ignoring reality. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers growth, resilience, and hope in the face of difficulty. Central to this mindset is the nature of yourself. Talk, the internal dialogue that narrates your experience. Self-talk can be a powerful ally or a formidable adversary. When your inner voice is critical, pessimistic, or defeatist, it undermines your confidence and motivation. Negative self-talk magnifies obstacles, diminishes your belief in your capabilities, and often leads to self-sabotage. On the other hand, positive self-talk nurtures resilience, reinforces your strengths, and encourages you to persevere through challenges. Maintaining a positive mindset doesn't mean denying hardship or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging difficulties while focusing on what you can control, your actions, attitudes, and responses. This mindset encourages a proactive approach rather than one of helplessness or victimhood. Developing positive self-talk starts with awareness. Pay attention to your internal dialogue, especially when you face setbacks or uncertainty. Notice when your thoughts become harsh or limiting. Once aware, you can challenge and reframe these negative thoughts into constructive ones. For example, instead of thinking, "I can't do this," try, "This is hard, but I can take it one step at a time." Affirmations and intentional language are useful tools for fostering a positive mindset. Repeating encouraging statements about your worth, potential, and resilience can gradually shift your mental patterns. Over time, this positive reinforcement becomes an internalized belief system that supports forward movement. Surrounding yourself with positivity also plays a role. The people you interact with, the media you consume, and the environments you inhabit influence your mindset. Engaging with uplifting content, supportive individuals, and inspiring experiences helps cultivate optimism and reduces the impact of negative influences. It's essential to balance positivity with realism. Unrealistic positivity can lead to denial and frustration when faced with real difficulties. The goal is realistic optimism, recognizing challenges honestly while maintaining faith in your capacity to overcome them. This balance fosters resilience and adaptability. Positive mindset and self-talk also improve emotional regulation. When you approach stress and adversity with a constructive attitude, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by fear or despair. This emotional stability supports clear thinking and problem solving, which are crucial for continuing forward. Moreover, a positive mindset influences your behavior. When you believe in your ability to succeed and recover from failure, you are more likely to take risks, try new strategies, and persist despite obstacles. This active engagement is the essence of forward movement. Finally, cultivating kindness toward yourself is a vital aspect of positive self-talk. Treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer a friend facing similar struggles. Recognize that imperfection and setbacks are part of the human experience. This self-compassion reduces harsh self-criticism and fosters a nurturing internal environment where growth can flourish. In summary, maintaining a positive mindset and practicing supportive self-talk are foundational to enduring progress. They shape how you interpret challenges, influence your emotions, and guide your actions. By nurturing this internal dialogue, you equip yourself with a mental toolkit essential for resilience and forward momentum. So, commit to listening carefully to your inner voice. Challenge negativity. Choose words and thoughts that uplift and empower. In doing so, you reinforce the spirit of just keep moving forward from within, making it not just a slogan, but a lived reality. In a world that often demands instant results and quick fixes, developing patience and persistence is a radical act of resistance and wisdom. Progress, especially in the face of adversity, rarely unfolds rapidly or smoothly. It is more often a slow, grinding process that tests your endurance and commitment. To keep moving forward means embracing this reality and cultivating the virtues of patience and persistence. Patience is not simply waiting idly for things to happen. It is an active, engaged form of endurance. It means accepting that some outcomes require time to manifest and that the path toward your goals will include delays, obstacles, and setbacks. Patience allows you to maintain hope and focus even when immediate results are absent or disappointing. Persistence, on the other hand, is the refusal to give up despite challenges. It is the quality that drives you to keep taking steps forward, no matter how small, even when progress feels imperceptible. Persistence embodies a determination to endure hardship, to withstand frustration, and to continue striving regardless of external circumstances. Together, patience and persistence form a powerful combination that sustains forward momentum. They temper the impulse to quit in moments of discouragement and prevent the burnout that can result from unrealistic expectations of rapid success. It's important to recognize that patience and persistence are not innate traits, but skills that can be developed through practice and mindset shifts. One way to cultivate patience is by reframing your relationship with time. Instead of viewing delays as failures or wasted effort, see them as necessary phases of growth and preparation. This perspective reduces anxiety and frustration, replacing them with calm acceptance. Building persistence involves setting realistic goals and breaking larger objectives into manageable parts. When the overall vision feels overwhelming, focus on consistent, incremental effort. Celebrate the act of showing up and putting in the work daily, understanding that persistence accumulates over time. Resilience plays a crucial role here. Every time you persist through difficulty, you strengthen your capacity to handle future challenges. This cumulative effect creates a feedback loop where past endurance reinforces future stamina. Patience and persistence also require self-compassion. Recognize that setbacks and slow progress are normal and do not indicate personal failure. Instead of harsh judgment. Adopt an attitude of kindness toward yourself, encouraging continued effort without excessive pressure. Moreover, patience teaches you to tolerate uncertainty and discomfort. Life is unpredictable, and outcomes are not always within your immediate control. Patience helps you manage this uncertainty without panic or despair, allowing you to maintain your focus and composure. Persistence demands courage, the courage to face fear, doubt, and fatigue head on. It means continuing when motivation falters, when hope dims, and when the path forward is unclear. This courage is not heroic in the dramatic sense, but in the quiet, persistent refusal to surrender to despair. Consider the metaphor of planting a tree. The seed doesn't sprout overnight. It requires water, sunlight, and time, often months or years, before a sapling appears. Persistence is the ongoing care, and patience is the acceptance of the waiting period. Eventually, growth becomes visible and steady, but without the earlier unseen effort, the outcome is impossible. In sum, developing patience and persistence is essential for sustainable progress. These qualities allow you to navigate the ups and downs of life without losing sight of your purpose. They empower you to transform obstacles into opportunities for growth, to keep moving forward even when the way is arduous and slow. So, cultivate patience to endure the necessary waiting and persistence to continue taking deliberate steps. Together, they form the backbone of resilience and the engine of meaningful progress, embodying the essence of just keep moving forward. Taking responsibility for your actions is a cornerstone of personal growth and essential for maintaining forward momentum. It is the recognition that while you cannot always control external circumstances, you are always in control of how you respond to them. This distinction is empowering because it shifts your focus from being a passive victim of life's events to an active agent shaping your own destiny. Responsibility begins with owning your choices. Every decision you make, whether conscious or unconscious, contributes to the path you are on. This includes acknowledging mistakes, failures, and missteps without deflecting blame or making excuses. Accepting responsibility means confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself honestly, rather than hiding behind denial or rationalization. When you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. Instead of feeling helpless in the face of adversity, you recognize that your actions, attitudes, and decisions matter. This mindset fosters accountability and motivates proactive behavior. It encourages you to ask not, "Why is this happening to me?" but "What can I do about this situation?" Taking responsibility is not about self-blame or guilt. It's about cultivating maturity and integrity by recognizing the role you play in your circumstances. This honest appraisal allows you to learn from experiences, adjust your course, and grow stronger. It also builds trust with others because it demonstrates reliability and a willingness to face consequences. In the context of just keep moving forward, responsibility is the fuel that keeps you moving when challenges arise. It prevents stagnation by making you accountable for your progress. When you own your journey, you are more likely to commit fully to your goals and persevere through setbacks. Responsibility also entails managing your internal world, your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. You can't always control what happens externally, but you can control how you interpret and respond to events. This control over your internal landscape is crucial for resilience and sustained effort. Moreover, taking responsibility fosters self-respect. When you consistently own your actions, you build a sense of integrity that enhances your self-esteem. This positive self-regard creates a virtuous cycle where confidence and accountability reinforce each other. It's worth noting that taking responsibility can be challenging. It requires courage to admit faults and humility to accept limitations. It also means resisting the temptation to blame others or circumstances for your difficulties. However, this challenge is precisely what makes responsibility transformative. It moves you from passivity to empowerment. In practical terms, embracing responsibility might look like setting clear goals, monitoring your progress, reflecting on your behaviors, and making necessary adjustments. It involves asking tough questions about what you could do differently and committing to actions aligned with your values and objectives. Taking responsibility also means accepting the consequences of your choices, whether positive or negative. This acceptance is liberating because it removes the burden of resentment and regret, replacing them with ownership and resolve. Ultimately, responsibility is the foundation of freedom. As the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. By taking ownership of your life, you free yourself from the chains of victimhood and become the architect of your future. So, to keep moving forward, embrace responsibility fully. Own your choices, your mistakes, and your potential. This act of ownership transforms challenges into opportunities and setbacks into lessons, propelling you toward growth and meaning. In a culture obsessed with outcomes, achievements, and final results, it's easy to overlook the significance of the journey itself. The idea of just keep moving forward is often interpreted solely as a push toward a goal, a finish line, a success, a milestone. But true resilience and fulfillment come from embracing the journey, not just fixating on the destination. The journey is where growth happens. It's in the daily effort, the incremental steps, the struggles, and the small victories that character is forged and wisdom is gained. When you focus exclusively on the destination, you risk becoming impatient, frustrated, or disillusioned when progress seems slow or when obstacles arise. You might miss the deeper value inherent in the process of becoming. Embracing the journey means appreciating each moment as part of your story. It involves recognizing that the hardships, failures, and challenges are not detours or distractions, but essential elements of growth. These experiences shape your understanding of yourself and the world, deepen your resilience, and enrich your capacity for empathy and compassion. This mindset transforms forward movement into a purposeful practice rather than a relentless grind. It encourages mindfulness, being present with your experience rather than always rushing toward the next thing. Mindfulness allows you to savor progress, learn from setbacks, and maintain balance and clarity. When you embrace the journey, you cultivate patience and reduce the anxiety tied to outcomes. You understand that success is rarely instantaneous and that meaningful achievements often require sustained effort over time. This acceptance fosters persistence and reduces the temptation to give up when results aren't immediately visible. Additionally, focusing on the journey allows you to stay adaptable. Goals and desires evolve, and unexpected opportunities or challenges may redirect your path. Being too fixated on a fixed endpoint can blind you to these shifts. But when you value the journey, you remain open to growth, learning, and transformation in ways you might not have anticipated. The journey is also where you build relationships, develop skills, and create memories. These elements often hold more lasting value than the destination itself. Success without the richness of experience can feel hollow, whereas a meaningful journey imbues your life with depth and texture. Moreover, embracing the journey encourages self-compassion. It acknowledges that you will stumble, make mistakes, and face setbacks, and that this is normal and expected. This attitude removes the burden of perfectionism and opens space for grace and resilience. In practical terms, embracing the journey might mean setting process-oriented goals rather than purely outcome-oriented ones. It means celebrating small wins, reflecting on lessons learned, and appreciating your growth over time. It means seeing life as an ongoing adventure rather than a checklist of accomplishments. Ultimately, embracing the journey aligns with the deeper meaning behind just keep moving forward. It's a recognition that life's value lies not solely in arriving somewhere, but in the courage, effort, and transformation that happen along the way. So lean into the journey with openness and curiosity. Welcome the challenges and triumphs alike. Allow yourself to be present and engaged in every step, because in embracing the journey, you find not just progress, but purpose. At the end of all this, after every principle, every struggle, every truth laid bare, what remains is this: you must choose to move forward. That is the essence. That is the weight. That is the responsibility. Because forward motion is not just something you do when things are going well. In fact, the times when it matters most are the times when everything in you screams to stop. And so the question isn't, will you suffer? Of course you will. The better question is, what will you do when you suffer? That's the crucible where your character is formed. That's the ground where despair either roots itself or where you dig deep and fight like hell to rise. Because the truth is, there is no neutral ground. Every day you move or you decay. You grow stronger or you weaken. You take a step forward or the darkness inches closer. And let's be honest, it's not going to be fair. Some of you are carrying more than your share. Some of you were handed pain that was unearned, grief that was undeserved, chaos that came before you even knew how to spell your own name. But none of that changes the assignment. The assignment is to rise anyway, to become someone who does not let their tragedy define them, but who uses it to become formidable, capable, and grounded in something real. Moving forward isn't about speed. It's not about winning some race that no one else sees. It's about direction. It's about making damn sure that even if you fall 10 times, the 11th time you rise, you're facing the right way. It's about placing one foot in front of the other, not blindly, but deliberately, even if it's only a centimeter of progress, because in that act, you're proving something sacred, that you still believe this life is worth showing up for. And here's what most people don't realize: your forward motion doesn't just affect you. The strength you build, the responsibility you accept, the example you live out, those things ripple. There are people watching you, whether you know it or not, silently drawing strength from your refusal to break. Your children, your friends, your community, maybe even strangers. And when they see you stand back up after the 100th fall, they understand, maybe for the first time, that they can too. So no, moving forward is not easy. It's brutal. It's lonely. It's slow. And sometimes it feels like it's not worth it. but those are the moments when it matters most, because those are the moments when you are truly building the foundation of who you are. And this isn't about perfection. You're going to fail, you're going to fall, but forward isn't about never stumbling. It's about always refusing to stay down. Every time you stand, you're rejecting despair. You're saying, I will not be destroyed by this. And that is a noble, meaningful, heroic thing to do. So when life hurts, and it will, don't run. Don't curl up and die. Don't wait for someone else to save you. Stand up even if your legs shake. Carry your burden even if it feels unbearable. Take the next step, even if it's through tears. That is the price of becoming someone worth being. That is how you build a life of substance. And that is how you offer something real to a world that desperately needs it. Remember, the road isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to change you. It's supposed to break down what is weak and reveal what is strong. It is supposed to force you to decide every day whether you will become more than your suffering or let your suffering consume you. So make the choice, not once, but over and over again, with trembling hands and burning lungs and a heart that doubts whether it can beat one more time. Choose to stand. Choose to step. Choose to just keep moving forward. Because that's where meaning is found. That's where transformation happens. And that's how you become the kind of person who can walk through hell and come out carrying someone else.